All right. Um, s- so, um, now that we've gotten past the technical mishap, why don't we start again? Could you talk a little bit about you and how you started in the disability community, and we can go from there.
Okay. My name is Rocio Lopez. Um, I am, I have short hair, dark brown short hair to my shoulders. I'm sitting in front of a window and I'm wearing a white tank top. I got involved with the disability activism after my mom died. It was around 2017. And I was found Disability Rights Washington, and I applied to be a volunteer. So that is how I really began my journey being an activist um, independently. So I was able to get to be on the board, be a board member, be on the Disability Advocacy Council, the DD Ombuds Board. So I started learning a lot about the way um, the legislative process is regarding the disability bills and what that entails.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about, what you do nowadays.
These days, I am getting myself out there now. I am putting myself, um, being more visible and being more available to people who need help. I am Latina, so there are not very many of us in my county. So it's really hard finding people who want to be activists, who want to be involved. And so I'm kind of looking for an outreach to other disability activists. So I do try and get out and do more so that people know that there is a Latina in my area who is an activist and is trying to bring more people to the table so that um, other people know about Disability Rights Washington and what they do, and that there's an org out there, and that's kind of like where totally started right when my mom died.
I'm sorry to hear about your mom.
Thank you.
So I know that Cassie connected you and I together. So my question is, how do you know Cassie, and like where did you guys sort of meet and connect?
Well, I didn't know Cassie until I went to Philadelphia, and I went with NPI with I know Andrew. So, and that's how we were all brought together. So that's when I met her, and I started talking about my activism, and I completely appreciate NPI for taking me to Philadelphia with them, and that's how I met Cassie. And oh, she's a lot of fun. She's a lot of fun. We are definitely walking around, getting to know the area because I've never been to Philadelphia before. So that's how I met Cassie, was through NPI.
That's cool. So like my next question is, what are some of the most pressing issues that are in the disability community that still need to be solved from your perspective?
My perspective is that right now, our administration just changed the special education to the human House of Human Services. I think that's what it's called. Um, Moved it over to that department under uh, Robert Kennedy Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is one of my concerns is that is what's going to happen with special education. How is that going to be affected by the students in my state? And what can my state do, or how can they help in that area as far as the laws in Washington State and the regulations and the policies that they've already set forth on special education in Washington State. I also am really concerned about the lack of technology that people have. And so there's not a lot of accommodations when it comes to technology. Just for instance, I just recently found out about 2 years ago that there is a left-handed keyboard for people with disabilities. But my concern is that's a start. But I have an iMac, so for me, because I'm not a good typer, I'm a slow typer, and I type with my left hand. It would be nice to be able to have a way of transcribing or of being able to take notes for me during meetings so that I don't have to type or try and have some other type of recorder or um, some type of transcribing so that I have it on my available to me.
Yeah. I'm also left-handed and I'm also a slow typer, so I can definitely relate to that. Um
Definitely.
yeah. So so given that you mentioned there were problems in special education, what are you guys doing on a state level to address this or combat this locally?
Well, one of the issues that we took up, or that disability rights took up, and all of the activists who are involved with them did put forth a bill for the House Bill 1541, Nothing Without Us About Us Act. It
Mm-hmm.
was, I think, 2024 that it was passed. And I was one of a handful of activists that was a part of that. And it took 4 years to get that passed. So for us, and in my time that I've been involved, that was a really big success for us. I do know that before I got involved, and I don't know too much information, but the True Blood case was another success. It was for people who are um, getting evaluations when they're arrested, and how they're being treated in jails and prisons, and if they're being made available the necessary tools that they need, like a cane or glasses or contacts, or what is being provided for them.
Mm-hmm. So that's cool. So my next question is, within the disability community, you do a lot of advocacy and other related stuff in the disability community. So what I'm wondering is, who was that biggest influence in the disability community that you sort of looked up to, in which you said, I want to do what he or she is doing, or I want to do what they're doing, because the most famous disability advocate, certainly I can remember, was Judy Heumann. Judy Heumann, she was a Brooklyn native, and she would always like be this influential sort of speaker and advocate for certain issues in the disability community. I read about it in a book once, and so I don't know about you, but who is that sort of person in the disability community that you looked up to that you said, I want to do what this person is doing one day?
You know what? That's an interesting question, because it's my mom. Because one of the things that I learned from my mom is that being an advocate for somebody in your family is extremely important. Because when I was born, there was no information on cerebral palsy. You had no research. There wasn't. I was deemed the most serious case of cerebral palsy. So all my mom had to do was just go to the library. And I chose my mom also because she had to advocate for me. And I want to advocate for other people. And that is what's really important, because I want people to know that there is an advocate out here fighting for them. Um, some of my favorite activists locally was David Wilder, Noah, who works at Disability Rights Washington, Betty, Tim. They are all out there. And Daria Farvar, she's championed, I believe, 1541, and they are really my dream team, and they are definitely people who you know I want to be like, because they have a level of caring and understanding, and a level of a desire to fight for the people with disabilities. And that's really, that's really important. Plus, they are the ones who take the bills and advocate for them in Olympia. And so those are some of the people that I do admire and respect. So, and the other thing is I honor and respect myself, because it's really hard finding support. It's hard being an advocate for people who have disabilities. Um, and one of my greatest joys is that I'm able to be for Latina kids to know that there's a Latina activist fighting for their rights too. So it's a combination, but those are the people offhand that I can think of right now who are definitely I admire and respect, and who have shown me what type of person I want to be as far as an activist, who have shown me the desire. And that's what's really important. They have been my security, and they've given me that oomph to continue on with the work that I do.
Yeah, I know Noah personally because he and I met him through Do It, which is the Disabilities Opportunities Internetworking Technology. So I knew him from there, and I also had him on my podcast. So and I'm familiar with his work. So yeah.
Yes.
So what I'm wondering is there anything that you are planning to do in the disability advocacy space in the future that people should know about? Or
Right now is I'm just now, because I got back from Philadelphia, I am just doing a lot of speaking, a lot of putting myself out there as an advocate, but also being that voice for people to understand and to make it more aware, make the disability issues more aware, because I see that people are just they didn't know certain things. Like, for instance, employment. People
Mhm.
didn't realize that, sometimes people who have disabilities or have skills that are better than able-bodied, employees. And the only difference is that they need a quieter space, they need extra time, and they need accommodations. And so people just kind of look at me when I tell that to people, and they're just like, oh, okay. So that's one thing. I'm just doing a lot of speaking engagements right now, and I'm having fun with it. And it's really interesting to see people's reaction. But I also want to work on structuring, the way employment work, or our our employments, so that it isn't that people with disabilities are included. And trying to find the structures, trying to find a way to be more inclusive. I'm trying to find ways that that can really help. So I'm learning also at the same time, um, separately from Disability Rights Washington. I want to be on my own too. They have been a wonderful support, and like I told them, I'll never stop being a part of Disability Rights Washington. And
Mhm.
they are a blessing. But I also want to say, thank you to NPI for believing in me, and putting me out there and telling me, this is your voice. We need to get you out there.
Yeah.
So I
Hmm.
have a Facebook page. So I do have that.
Yeah.
So
That's good. Social media is a good tool to use. Yeah.
yeah. And do you want me to give you my email right now? Do you want me to say it right now to you?
Um, we can, you can mention that at the end of at the end of this recording session when I'm about to ask how people can find you.
Okay.
My next question is, you mentioned that, your mom was an advocate for you when you were growing up. And
Hmm.
now that she has, passed away, how do you sort of be that advocate for others, because you have like a Facebook page and all that stuff, but how do you sort of be that voice for the people who don't have a voice or who don't know how to speak up? Because I'll give you an
I
example.
attend.
The
Okay.
reason I did this podcast was because I wanted to talk about issues in the disability community, and so I use the disability space as a launch point for my podcast.
Mhm. Right. And I attend every county commissioner meeting, every city council meeting, of school board meetings, because right now the budget in the state is we're short.
Hmm.
And even though special education did get money in the budget, there's still a shortfall in the community. So I am being really involved. I am really showing people how to be out there, how to be active, what it means to be active in your community. Start, with around here is to put myself out there so that people know there is somebody that is attending these meetings, that is speaking up for the disability community, and people are finding out about me attending just attending these meetings. So gaining awareness to the people in my community. I'm teaching them, these meetings are really important, and using your voice and speaking up is what is needed, and that's kind of what I'm doing. But I'm also really interested in the special education and my concerns with that and where that's going to go. Because right now it's up in the air, and you know we don't know. We just don't know what's going to happen. Uh, it's really a hard time to live through what we're going through, and every marginalized community is at risk in one way or another. Um, so
Hmm.
we'll just have to wait and see where this is all going to go, what our state's going to do, and what's their plan, and you know um, just really being out there independently for people is what I'm doing, because people don't know. uh, they don't even, I mean, they don't even know a lot of activists, uh, in the state or even in my area, because I live in the rural community. So
Hmm.
we're a small community. We don't have those resources that bigger cities like King County or Yakima County or Spokane County have. So it falls a lot on my shoulders to be aware and to bring the awareness to people. So I think that's really what I have been doing and what I'm going to be doing for a while.
Yeah. And do you live outside of Seattle or?
I live in Skagit County,
Mhm.
so it's about 2 hours north of Seattle, depending on the traffic. And I live an hour south of the border.
Hmm. Yeah, so I'm guessing it's a rural community, right? Yeah. I was
Yep.
asking if it was a more rural community, Skagit County, right?
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Skagit County. Yes, definitely. We are farmland, and so that's really where, like, we have less than 100,000, I believe, citizens that live in our people in our area in our county. So we are not even
Hmm. Yeah.
half
Uh-huh.
of like uh, tiny. Do a lot of work, and we're always to find ways to.
Hmm. So, for those who, for the people listening to this episode, what can they do to sort of be an advocate for others, be that voice that people need, during these times?
their school systems if they have children, and they need to reach out to their city councils, their mayors, the county commissioners, because they are the decision makers. And reach out if you have children in school, to reach out to the teachers and even the principal, to see what is going on, see why there are not, why there's a lack of accommodations. And you got to really hold them accountable to their lack of accommodations. So then what's going to happen? So you better really get together, bring people from your community together to really get that voice out, to really be an advocate for themselves, their families, their children, even their employees, friends, community members. So that's really one way you can really get involved. And then you have, organizations like Disability Rights Washington. And if you have any small groups in your community, then that would be an outreach too. So it's just doing research. If at the beginning you want to do all the research, because that's where you're going to find the information. And that's really important, to do the research, to understand the issues, to understand you want to really research the disability you have to a certain degree, as far as, I can explain cerebral palsy, my right leg is weak. My cerebral palsy affects my whole right side. So how do you explain it? And, there's going to be a certain terminology, medical terminology, or technical terminology that, we really want to be aware of, that we want to be able to identify, and understand. Because, one of the things that I have noticed and that I have learned is that people with disabilities are tested as geniuses or close to geniuses. The only difference is that they learn differently, and they learn slower, at a slower pace, and they need more time, and they need more help. But people with disabilities are being tested at levels of higher education. They just don't have access to the education that they need as they get older. Because there's programs that once you turn 18 that you can get into or participate in. But as far as really having that help when they go to school, whether it be like Skagit Valley College or Yakima College, or Whatcom, it varies. So that's one thing I could say.
Yeah, and finally, as promised, for those who want to look up, more information about you, the work that you do, what can they do?
My email is Rocio Lopez, L836 @gmail.com. And then I have a Facebook page. It's Rocio Lopez, Disability Advocate. So that's where you can find me. And I'm putting a lot of information about what's going on in the state and the elections. You want to pay attention to the elections. Right now, we have 5 state, Washington State Supreme Court judges up. And, those positions are really important, because if there's cases that are brought forward, we need to have judges who will be willing to support the disability community and, do what they can, along with our U.S. congressmen, or, who's up for re-election. Rick Larson, Pramila Jayapal, Adam Smith, Susan Delbene, and just look up on your elections, your voter pamphlet, and keep up on different websites, also in research. That's what's really going to make it easier to a certain extent, but it's going to be more helpful. So those are the two ways that you can contact me that are the quickest and easiest. So I'm putting a lot of information up right now about different candidates.
Yeah, and I'll make sure to add that in the show notes once I upload it. Yeah. Okay. On that note, alrighty.